Gardiner, Labour's now in favour of a customs union, but you want a bespoke customs union for Britain. You want full access to the single market. You want a say, well, you do, as Mr Corbyn said, you wanted access to the single market. You want a say in any future EU trade deals. That's what Mr Corbyn said too. What would you be prepared to give the EU in return?
Two things, I think, Andrew, and this is why having a customs union like Mercosur, like many other customs unions around the world, makes sense. It would give us our
No, I know the case for it.
Okay.
I'm asking, what would you give in return? The EU in return?
Two things. One is a partial, and it is only a partial solution to the issue of the border question in Ireland, which they, as much as we, want to ensure is not a problem in the future. And a customs union, which the government has ruled out with one of its red lines, unfortunately, is something that we believe would go a long way to solving that problem.
But they've already said that Northern Ireland can have a customs union with the South.
Well, what we're saying is we would be in a customs union with the European Union.
What else would you give them?
And the other thing, of course, is we would give them tariff-free access into our markets, because of course they export more goods to us than we do them, and as a result of that, it's in their interest not to have tariffs imposed on their goods.
But everybody's offering them tariff-free access.
Well,
the position of the British government is to give them tariff-free access.
Only they want to do it within a free trade agreement that has not yet been agreed, and that the European Union says could not be better than Canada.
But if they're so keen on tariff-free access, they would agree to a free trade agreement. Otherwise, you're not giving them something they want.
They wouldn't.
You really think that would be enough to give them something they have never agreed to in any shape or form before?
Well, we believe that it's a very sensible and serious, innovative proposal that solves two key problems for British business, British economy, and for the Irish.
I can see the problems it may solve for Britain. That's your case. That's why you're proposing. No. But I'm trying to find out why the EU would go down a road it has never gone down before. For example, you want, as a non-EU member, Britain to be able to have a say on any trade deals the EU does.
That's
Why would they give us that?
Well, trade agreements in goods have to be, if you're part of a customs union, have to be done together, because of course you have common tariffs. You have common tariffs and quotas as a customs union.
As a non-EU member, why would they give us a say?
I'm trying to explain that to you. And that is because in most customs unions around the world, that is precisely what happens. There is a forum between the countries that form the customs union that then decide on what tariffs and quotas you'd apply to third countries on goods.
So you want the EU, as it does trade deals, you want the EU to agree to Britain being part of the negotiations?
It's of great benefit to them that we should be.
Why would they do that? Even Turkey's not part of the negotiations.
No, Turkey negotiated a very different, very asymmetric and actually a very damaging deal for Turkey.
But Turkey wanted to come in, so it was prepared to do that. Exactly. You are taking us out, at least I think that's your party's policy. I don't understand why the EU would give a power to a non-EU member, which would be Britain by then, that it doesn't even give to EU members.
Yes, and I've explained to you, because it's financially to their benefit.
This is fantasy.
It's not fantasy at all. It's financially to their benefit, and it goes a long way to solving the border problem in Ireland. And moreover, in any trade agreement that we were then to conclude on goods, because remember, a customs union relates to goods and not necessarily to services. A customs union on goods, it would give any third-party country that the EU and we together might be negotiating with a larger consumer base, so that the third-party country said, I'm getting 74 million extra consumers that we can then trade into.
Under the existing rule, Germany or France, members of the EU, have no direct say over trade policy. They have no direct say, they have no veto over any trade deal that is done by the European Commission. Why would Berlin or Paris agree to that?
Let me take you to task slightly there, because of course what we've seen is the way that trade agreements are conducted through the European Union does come back down for ratification by the countries.
Not on traded goods, it doesn't. That's a Commission competence.
It's a Commission competence on traded goods.
Right.
But as you know, most trade agreements that are now concluded are mixed agreements.
And that's true. So therefore, where would your policy... Where is your policy now then, if you want to have this say? Indeed, you seem almost to want to have a veto. Where does your policy stand given the ECJ Singapore judgment?
Well, the ECJ Singapore judgment, which was precisely about mixed agreements,
yes,
and making sure that there was then competence right the way down.
No, the ECJ judgment gives more power to the Commission and less to the nation states. That's the significance of the Singapore judgment. And yet you are asking...
Only by separating it out.
You are asking...
Sorry, it is important, Andrew, only by separating the two elements out.
But you are asking for Europe to give us a power that it doesn't give Berlin or Rome or Paris. It is Fantasyland.
Well, I don't believe that's correct, because, as I say, it offers them two things which otherwise they would not necessarily have.
And you've said the two things, but let me ask you this. If they don't give it, and frankly, most people think you've got no chance, is the customs union then out?
Well, look, in any negotiation, I think what's important to do is to set out what your objective in the negotiation is, to have a clear negotiating position.
Right.
And that's what on Monday the Labour Party outlined. We have a clear objective.
I understand that.
That is to have a customs
and that's clear, and I'm not arguing with that. What I'm asking you is,
I'm trying to answer
if the European Union says we will not allow you to participate in trade talks, you won't even have a say, you certainly won't have a veto, is that the idea of having a customs union, is it dead?
Well, no, because it's a negotiation. And in any negotiation, what happens is you negotiate. There may well be compromises on the way. And that's what a negotiation is about. But I believe this gives us a very strong position, because it's actually in their financial interest to have their goods come into our markets without any delays, without tariffs, without quotas.
And you would also like the freedom to subsidise industries in this country as well.
Well, that's a separate matter, but yes, indeed.
So you expect them to give us a situation which no major economy inside the EU has, and you expect to be part of a customs union and to have state subsidies of industries that you want to, whereas we all know that Brussels' major concern and all these things is a level playing field without these kinds of subsidies. You expect all that. Do you think Brussels is Santa Claus?
Well, let me just suggest this to you, Andrew, that actually when people were voting in the referendum, those people who said that we should be leaving the European Union precisely said it was because we could be better off out. What we're trying to do within the Labour Party is to suggest ways in which we can mitigate the damage that this government is doing.
I'm just trying to make out of it in any way possible.
Negotiation.
You think it is.
And we are trying to set out something that would solve the border question.
It was a cynical speech, which was a U-turn massively on elements. Not pretending any of this is easy, but we do need a free trade agreement with a customs arrangement. But by shutting ourselves off from doing deals around the world would be a huge error.
Well, you've seen the economic analysis of that, Therese.
Okay, let's not go. I was simply trying to test how feasible it is that the EU would even start down this road. You think it is? If you ever get the chance, we shall see.